daring approach won't fail. Tune in, it's time for Common Man. Common man, charms the housewives like no one can. What you shoot? Where'd we play? Non-stop nonsense on deck today. Tune in, it's time for Common Man.
Oh, boy. Why should anybody aspire to be a common man, an average man? Do you realize what it means to be average? That means you're the best of the lousiest, and the lousiest of the best. Now, if we demand more and more for producing less and less, while the have-not nations encourage and inspire and indeed require hard work and maximum effort, if we deify the common men while they encourage and reward the uncommon ones, well, the end result of such a lopsided race as that is too obvious to require elaboration.
I mean, it's like, hello? Sometimes when you practice, you'll set up chairs. You know, when you run through chairs just to show zones and stuff. The Viking defense looks like it's chairs.
Time is running out on Dan Cole's round. Let's go to 15. Bob?
Yeah, John Cole has been visibly angry. He's been talking to himself quite a bit. And it doesn't get any easier here on the par 3 15th hole at Minnesota National. This hole is guarded by two bunkers with a big tree in front of the green. Very challenging tee shot. He's opted to hit a 5-iron here. Cole, unreal pants, fluttering in the wind, mumbling to himself, I've got to have this shot. Hooty-hoo! Ooh, that's very well struck. Spinning through the air like a J.J. McCarthy pass. It's right on line. Looking good. Oh, my! It's in! I can't believe what I just saw. A hole-in-one for Cole at the 15th, and he's pointing at patrons in the gallery shouting, you doubted me, you doubted me, you doubted me, and now he's embracing his son, Peter. What a moment between father and son here at the 15th at Minnesota National.
Yeah, I always love that one.
Do you believe in miracles? Yes! Yes, I do!
That sounds like a heck of a radio show. I might want to listen.
Huh?
Timberwolves superfan, KFAN Stan Barrero.
Huh?
Game plan looks like.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Brilliant!
got him.
Game plan looks like. Ladies and gentlemen, we're seeing what a sophisticated offensive game plan looks like. You talk about
Think we ain't, think we can't, think we shouldn't, think we wouldn't.
He's the clown from Brown. He's the fourth in the north. This is the common man, Dan Cole.
One begins in 5, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. 2-1, greetings, good afternoon. Ack-ack-a-dack, dack-dack-ack. Ack-ack-a-dack, dack-dack-ack is your password for tomfoolery and skullduggery. It will also gain you admittance into a meeting of the Loyal Order of Water Buffalo. Ooh la la, ooh la la. Or in this case, it would be ooh la la la. It'll get you into the Minnesota State Fair too. Well, it's because the State Fair is not accepting tickets anymore. Money. I think you can just go on the property anytime you want now. You could probably find remnants of corn dogs on the sidewalk. That reminds me, I thought I was in big trouble one day because this was back when our broadcast location was on Dan Patch and Cooper. It was right on the sidewalk. We had a booth that literally was maybe twice the size of a phone booth. It was really small. It was right on the sidewalk. So some young kid, he's 12, 13, 14 years old. I say, I'll give you, one of our pieces of merchandise here when we were allowed to do that. If you'll eat something off the sidewalk here at the State Fair. And there was something squished on the fair, on the sidewalk, and he like scooped it up and ate it. Much to my delight, to the horror of some of the bystanders. And we laughed and then I just kind of forgot about it until the next day when his old man showed up. But his old man, you know what he said? God, that's funny. My boy just really enjoyed himself. He made him famous or something like that. So he was not. I thought he was going to try to kick 6 different kinds of dog manure out of me for making his kid eat something. I didn't make him. I just said, look, give you a T-shirt if you'll eat something off the State Fair, off the sidewalk at the State Fair. I don't know why we started talking about that. What was it? Well, there's a lot to get to.
I don't know, it sounds like a State Fair game we can do next year.
Yeah.
What will you do for a comment program T-shirt?
We got plenty to get to.
Do we?
Well, the National Football League season starts in earnest tonight. Dallas against Philadelphia. I'm not making Philadelphia. They did win the big game last year.
They
right?
did, yes.
Yeah. Did they beat Kansas City?
KC.
Is it odd that I really wasn't 100% sure of that? They all just kind of run together.
It is hard to remember, yeah.
They just kind of run together after a while. Did I see where KC, have they been in like...
Who was in the NBA championship?
I seriously don't. I can't remember.
It's OKC versus Indiana.
That's right, OKC, Indiana. OKC
who was in the
won.
NHL Stanley Cup Finals?
That was Flo Rida.
Yeah.
Against, Rosen, because he wanted a Canadian team. I think it was Edmonton.
Yeah, it was. Connor McDavid.
Yeah.
Overrated.
Connor McDavid, overrated.
Now, I couldn't tell you who was in the World Series last year. The Dodgers won that one?
I think it was Dodgers-Yankees. I think it was Dodgers-Yankees, and I think
I think that's right, yeah.
And I think the Dodgers won. And then, of course, it was Lynx versus the Liberty, and we got jobbed by the officials in that game. We still are thinking about that. Someone says the audio is messed up and there's echo going on. Two different text messages.
Is that on KFAN or is that on the iHeartRadio app?
I don't know. They're not saying.
It'd be helpful to know that.
This one says, was the kid that ate something off the sidewalk nicknamed Meat Sauce? No, it wasn't, but I bet Sauce would do something like that. So we got the NFL starting at Ernst tonight.
Yeah.
I'd love to rub the genie's bottle because I wish it were Monday night at 7:15.
You were going to get into Wheel of Topics before I...
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I was going to name all the things. The long-winded. They said, Brian Oak, Rock Talk, 12:30 today. Deuce, the return of Spread Swing at 1:30. Mark Rosen at 2. He'll be here at 1:30 for Spread Swing, but then Rosen 2 with so many things to talk about. I don't know. Where do we go? Let's spin the reel topic. It's on KFAN. It's on air. It's on my car radio. A lot of people are complaining. Something is very wrong with the broadcast. It's very static. It would never happen to the morning show. Do you think that would ever happen to the morning show? Let me guess. They're doing transmitter maintenance right now.
What did you shoot today?
I shot a 77 Sunset Strip.
Where'd we play?
Loggers Trail.
Where'd you hit it on? One?
Right up the gut.
How far from the green was it?
I had 146 from to the green.
Second shot?
I hit a pretty good iron and I cut it, but it was just like it was just off the fringe, just sitting on the top of the rough. I had about 40 feet for birdie.
Then what?
I knocked it off the green on the other side. I hit it so hard.
Well, there's that.
I went bogey,
then what?
and still shot a 77. I was 2 over at the turn. I went bogey, and then played the next 7 in even, 1 bogey, 1 birdie. I hit a 75-foot birdie putt today on the 4th hole. It's crazy because, you're really not thinking of making it, right? Halfway there, and I talk to myself, even when I'm by myself on the golf course. Halfway there, I go, really? Then about 3/4 of the way, I go, seriously? Because you could just tell, you know what I'm saying? It's tracking perfectly. It's not moving off the line at all. And it's the perfect speed. And it just plopped right into the cup from 75 feet. I laughed out loud. I really enjoyed the process today. The process is what I did. Instead of worrying about, so often I'm so wrapped up in the final score of every hole. I got to make par here. I got to make par. Instead of just enjoying it, throw up a little grass. Not taking too much. I played solo today, but I played well, and I made miles of putts today. I can't tell you how many times I was like, got to have this putt from 10 feet for par, knock it in. Got to have this putt from 8 feet for par, knocked it in. So, when I play courses that are, loggers will give you everything you want, but I can get around that golf course because I know it so well. I've played well before there. It's loggers in Prestwick are to me what Brian Dunsing was to Mark Rosen, like a comfortable sweater. Remember when Rosen was so comfortable and Brian Dunstan would enter a game? He would just matter of fact, I bet he wished Brian Dunstan was still with the Twins because our bullpen. You know, and I think Randball. I should admit this working at the All Sports Station. I just glanced at the headline, and it said, "This is what you get when you trade your best relievers." Well, yeah, but you know what? Even when we had our best relievers, and we were terrible, right? I mean, we weren't quite as terrible. It's not like the relievers.
We'd be mediocre instead of terrible.
Yeah, it's not like the relievers that we traded. We're like, well, I can't believe. Look at these guys. These are surefire Hall of Famers. They really weren't that good. Duran was good. He was, and Jax had his moments. And after that, I don't know. They were okay. So it really doesn't matter much. But so there was plenty to get to today. Spread swing should be fun. Deuce is not coming in. I told he wanted to leave the office. I said, you can't leave the office for 90 minutes. You have to do it from in the office. So, but he misses coming in. He really looks forward to this. So he's got another soccer game tonight on GameTimeMN.com. I don't even know who. I think it might be Lakeville South again. He's almost become the voice of Lakeville South soccer. You should tune in and tell me what you think, just for 5 minutes tonight. Just tell me what you think. I think he's doing a really good job, and I know people say, "Well, it's because he's your son, so you're biased." No. Did I tell you I was engineering the broadcast? His volume was too low, and I had to text him during the game. I said, "Dude, you got to turn your volume up," because when they would go to commercial break, the commercials were blowing me away. He said, "Thanks, old timer," and he fixed it. So I was actually engineering the broadcast from afar. It's kind of fun. Here's one more. It says, I think there is something wrong with the broadcast. The host just keeps repeating himself and repeating himself. It seems to be like this every day. I love stuff like that. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Controversial Vikings news with a peek at the purple. And maybe I'm coming around to Tennebee's way of thinking and Rosen and PA and everybody else. Starting to get excited about this J.J. McCarthy kid. We'll take a break. And when we return, we'll do a little peek at the purple here on the Fan.
Would you guys consider anything less than a championship to be a failure from this year?
I wouldn't say anything is a failure, especially because we all grow every day. Obviously, the goal is a championship. There's no doubt in that, and that's the goal. We want to win a championship.
I'm Christina Williams, host of the podcast, In Case You Missed It with Christina Williams. The WNBA playoffs are here, and I've got the inside scoop on everything from key matchups and standout players to the behind-the-scenes moments you won't find anywhere else.
It's really, really hard to be the champions, but we have to remember how it feels and embrace the new challenge that we have.
For all the biggest stories in women's basketball, plus exclusive interviews with the game's brightest stars.
So to be here, I think it's one that we definitely don't take for granted. But we also know, that's just one stop along the way, and we're hoping to, make a run.
So listen to In Case You Missed It with Christina Williams, an iHeart Women's sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment on iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Comedian Kelsey Cook is bringing a night of laughs to the Fitzgerald Theater October 4th. Catch one of two shows, including a special taping. Enter for your chance to win a pair of tickets today on the KFAN contest page. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest to enter today.
Another local comedian.
She's appeared on the Power Trip Morning Show a couple times.
Well, there was, and I don't want to rip the guy because I'm really not ripping him, but I should admit this working at the All Sports Station. This was variety section, so I shouldn't admit it that I'm reading the variety section on the All Sports, and I just skimmed it. There's a kid from St. Paul who's now a regular on Saturday Night Live.
Really?
Yeah, and he made his debut on one of those late night shows. Ricky Fallon or whatever his name is.
Jimmy Fallon?
Jimmy Fallon. And so I watched it. It was attached to the Fish Wrap Factory West Side Story. Or maybe it was Pioneer Press, Fish Wrap East Side. And I gave it a couple minutes. Yeah, it was funny, but I'm thinking Sauce is just as fun. Well, okay, I'm getting carried away. Larry Mondello guy is as funny as that guy was. Why isn't Larry Mondello guy on Saturday Night Live? God, that's a preposterous statement, isn't it?
I didn't even know. So what's this guy's name? I didn't know there was a one of us on.
His name is Brennan, I think.
Is he on it for the first time this year, I'm assuming?
Yeah, well, Apparently there was a bunch of people quit Saturday Night Live. I don't know why, but a bunch of people just left. I don't know. You know how artsy people are. Something bothers them, so they gotta bow out. His name Brennan, is that right? Do I have the name right?
Yeah, Tommy Brennan.
Tommy Brennan, stand-up comedian, made his debut on Fallon a few years ago. He's all right, great kid.
Went to Cretin-Durham Hall.
Yeah, went to CDH. I don't know. Anyway. What was it? Oh, by the way, this one says, I'm streaming, so I'm not sure if the radio is getting prime rib, but on the iHeartRadio app, we seem to be getting London broil. Maybe Tennessee can fix that. There's always, everybody thinks they're funny. I've been cheap shotted twice now on the Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line. Twice I've been cheap shotted, and I'm sure more to come. Peek at the Purple, brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. I'll tell you what, you've got till the end of the month if you're thinking about buying one of those EVs. And before that $7,500 tax credit thing goes away. And, a lot of people are buying those. So if you want to do it now, and then go to Affordable Electric, reach out to them, affordable-electric.com. You can get one of those 240-volt things installed in your garage. For all your electrical needs, affordable-electric.com. Affordable-electric.com. They are shockingly affordable. J.J. McCarthy and the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings take the field the final game of Week 1 of the National Football League in 2025-2026. They will be in the Windy City to take on the Chicago Bears. And, we've spent ad nauseum, I think is the phrase. I mean, we've talked so much about it. And, I'm as guilty as the next guy. I lean on it all the time, but I'm told by the coroner's office, if you got nothing, talk Vikings, because Vikings in football always wins. So I just keep repeating myself over and over again about J.J. McCarthy, but that seems to be, he is story A, B, C, D, E, F, G with the Vikings, right? There are others, but that's the main one. How will J.J. McCarthy fare? And I don't know, his leadership abilities, his ability to spin it, to manage a game, to drive a team down the field with a minute 2 to go, no timeouts, down 6, and you're at your own 12. But I do know one thing he has figured out. He's got the cliches already. Story, Fish Wrap Factory, West Side, Emily. Did we determine is it Emily Leaker or Emily Liker? She started working for the Fish Wrap Factory last season. She writes a piece for this. She does a really nice job, too. It says, Vikings quarterback J.J. McCarthy grew up cheering for the Bears in Chicago suburbs, but his NFL debut and Monday night's opener here's what he says. I feel like home is in Minnesota, McCarthy said Wednesday at practice. At the end of the day, it's just a business trip. That's one of my favorite cliches. It's a business trip. We're not going there for fun. This is just strictly business. This is what we do for a living, and it's a business trip. And so he's approaching it as...
he's already sized up people that live in Minnesota, too. Like, I just got to suck up to they's guys, tell them how much I love it here, and they'll love me forever.
Yeah, that's exactly
He's figured it out. He's cracked the code.
Yeah. And, we've discussed this before. I don't know if it's like that in others. I'm sure other states feel the same way. I don't think they care in New York. Get out of here. I don't think they care if you love New York or not, if you're from there. But in Minnesota, we do like that. So the danger of working with Kenneby, Mark Rosen, Paul Allen, Justin Guard, Meat Sauce, Ben Lieber, Pete Bursich, and all the rest is that you start to buy into all the hype. I've been this lone wolf crying out in the wilderness saying, well, let's pump the brakes a little bit on this McCarthy kid. Let's let him take let's have him play one series in a real, honest to goodness National Football League game that counts in the standings before we start deciding that, he's our franchise quarterback for the next 13, 14 years or whether he's a complete bust. But everybody from the head coach, the quarterback whisperer, to the assistants, to all the players, to all the duckies and bunnies and all the Wilf Wallet watchers, they're all convinced that this kid's got what it takes. And I don't want to be... Remember when Don King said, give the common man the raise he so richly deserves. Don't be sitting on the dock of the bay when the common man is on board and whatever he said. The ship is gone. And you're sitting on the dock of the bay like Otis Redding going, what's going on? I don't want to be that guy while all of you are pointing and laughing at me. Oh, Common, you doubted him, didn't you? Yeah. Oh, you wanted to wait. Oh, you wanted to see him play. Well, what do you think of him now? And then all of a sudden I can just hear the echoing of J.J. Brzezinski going, Common Man, you doubted us, but now we're here. And I can just hear McCarthy saying it, and O'Connell and Teneby and Rosie and Bursich and Allen and everybody else. Ron Johnson, we'll throw him in there too. So, I think the song was written by Neil Diamond. It was done by a band called The Monkees. You're familiar with them, Teneby?
Yeah.
I'm a believer.
Really?
Yeah. I couldn't leave her if I tried.
Not a trace of doubt in your mind?
I once thought that McCarthy being really good was a fairy tale. But not for me. I'm a believer. Maybe I'm starting to believe now.
Do we know, by the way, any indication, like, isn't his fiance due like within the next couple weeks? Have we heard it all? Whether he's going to bail to go to the birth?
Here's what I would
when the due date is.
Here's what I would have done. I would have scheduled a C-section. I mean, this is how they make their living. I don't know if he's got insurance, and having a baby costs a lot of money, and he might have to front that money. Remember when Amy Van Dyken suggested that what's his name? Drew Brees might have to front the money for the hospital bill. After going to go to a loan shark, walk into Huntington Bank and go, I'd like to see the loan officer. Okay, why don't you sit down? Your name? I'm Drew Brees. What can we do for Mr. Brees? Well, I got franchise tagged again. I don't know I just don't know. And my wife's pregnant and we don't have any insurance. Can I front some money?
It's expensive.
It's expensive. Can I front some money? Remember how bitter she was when she got on? Then she embraced it after she won. She came on with us. We never did get Chris Carter on, did we? Did he win 2 years ago?
A couple years ago.
So Deuce has been searching. He finds it on Reddit, all the former Prohostro statements. I never realized how often Gorg was in it. I only just remember the memorable Gorg ones. Gorg usually had 2 or 3 every year. Deuce was nominated for a PST.
Really?
Yeah, it was. When he was 7 years old, he said, gee, Dad, how do you know so much about sports?
I always love that one.
That got him nominated for a PST. Which makes...
I don't know if we ever had a child in the Prohostro statement tournament.
Yeah, we did. Deuce made it, but he didn't win it. So there's that. So I don't know, Tim. I guess I got to be all in. I'm not going to buy a Joyzy or anything like that. I don't wear... Well, I did wear that triple-size Barry Sanders jersey to a Vikings game trying to attract attention to myself. I've showed you the picture, and people are not looking at me. I got a Halloween mask of a lion, and I'm standing up with my Sanders jersey, and I'm looking all around the stadium. No one's, and I could hear a mother saying to her child, just ignore him. Don't make eye contact with him. Okay, that's fine. I'm all in. Let's do this. Let's take a break. We'll come back. By the way, Peek at the Purple brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. For all of your electrical needs, Affordable-Electric. The legendary Brian Oak joins us next for Rock Talk here on the Fan.
Would you guys consider anything less than a championship to be a failure from this year?
I wouldn't say anything is a failure, especially because we all grow every day. Obviously, the goal is a championship. There's no doubt in that, and that's the goal. We want to win a championship.
I'm Christina Williams, host of the podcast, In Case You Missed It with Christina Williams. The WNBA playoffs are here, and I've got the inside scoop on everything from key matchups and standout players to the behind-the-scenes moments you won't find anywhere else.
It's really, really hard to be the champions, but we have to remember how it feels and embrace the new challenge that we have.
For all the biggest stories in women's basketball, plus exclusive interviews with the game's brightest stars.
So to be here, I think it's one that we definitely don't take for granted. But we also know, that's just one stop along the way, and we're hoping to, make a run.
So listen to In Case You Missed It with Christina Williams, an iHeart Women's sports production in partnership with Deep Blue Sports and Entertainment on iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Minneapolis, it's time to put on your baggy sweatshirt and get ready to laugh. Comedy icon Adam Sandler is bringing his You're My Best Friend tour to the XL Energy Center. We can't call it XL Energy Center anymore, by the way. That's at Grand Casino Arena on October 22nd. Don't miss out on brand new jokes, classic bits, and maybe even a song or two.
Oh, wow.
Tickets are on sale now. Get the full details at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
I'm Common. He's 10 to be excited and delighted to be joined by Brian Oake. It's Rock Talk on a Thursday. Thanks for being able to rearrange your schedule to accommodate ours. You know, when the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings decides he wants to be on at 1:20, then he actually gets there at 1:30. It's like jump how high.
You know what? I don't care. I'm so geeked for the season that I'm more than willing to. Now I'll remain geeked probably through the first quarter of the first game, and then we'll know a little bit more about what we're going to look like, but not everything. And you know what? I mean, this is going to be the greatest season ever. We're going to the big game. I can't wait to make it happen. Oh, we're all going. Where's the parade? We'll pick out our spots on the parade route.
You do a podcast.
I do, in fact. It's called... Oh, go ahead.
No,
it's just called the Brian Oake Show podcast, and it's available. Well, you know, when I left radio, I'm like, I want to go do a podcast, but what are we going to call it? And I'm like, well, the most important thing is that people actually listen so we can have sponsors and hopefully make a little money. And I'm like, well, and I'm like, no, I'm just going to call it the Brian Oake Show podcast. Very clever. So it's available, thank you, on the free iHeart Radio app, and just recorded episode 512.
And somebody told me that in episode 512, you experienced what you felt was the best interview subject you've ever had in your entire career.
Again, no gift for nuance whatsoever. I believe that person told you that it was one of...
I thought you said it was the...
Not only the greatest and most interesting and captivating interviews I've ever done on the, nearly 6 years of this podcast, but maybe in the top 20 of my entire career.
Really?
Over the course of that time of 30 years in radio and now doing this, I have interviewed hundreds of artists and bands, probably well over 1,000. And today,
from indies and unknowns to some of the greatest, most successful musicians in all of rock history. Correct?
Local bands that you've never heard of before and will likely never hear from again, all the way up to the tippy top throughout the course of my career. This one falls somewhere in the middle, but closer to the latter than the former. I'm assuming you're familiar with Minnesota's native son, one Bob Dylan. And he was part of the folk explosion that happened during the 1960s, but continued to stay interesting.
How many times
and inventive. Exactly. But as he moved into the 70s, while he didn't get rid of the rasp because he couldn't, he moved into areas of music heretofore untackled by Minnesota, Hibbing's favorite. And he, back in 1975, you may remember, put out a little album called Desire.
Tangled Up in Blue.
Which is one of the high watermarks of his musical output. Every decade, he seemed to go through this amazing reinvention and was restless, tireless, kept doing new things. Well, he decided he was going to take literally an all-star cast on the road for the Rolling Thunder Review. And this was so well received and so popular that you might remember Martin Scorsese did a little concert documentary about this Rolling Thunder Review tour. Well, so when they were doing that and putting together the band for the sessions and then ultimately for this unbelievable once-in-a-lifetime excursion out on the road, he put together this band, and the fiddle player he had was a young woman out of the Village in New York named Scarlett Rivera. And today I had a chance to sit down and talk with her for an hour, and I could have talked to her for days. She was fascinating.
Really?
And she told this story that I'm not going to reveal here. You got to go check out the podcast on the free iHeart Radio app if you want to hear it. Episode 512 with Scarlett Rivera. She talks about the day she met Bob Dylan, how it almost didn't happen, and the unbelievable, the day alone would have made anybody's life or career, but then subsequently what happened with her association with Dylan, and then moving from there on. She was absolutely fascinating, and she's in town because tomorrow night she's going to be performing Silver Bay, kind of a ways up north there, right? They've been doing this outdoor free summer concert series with incredible artists all summer long, and she's going to round it out tomorrow night.
Sweet.
Yeah, so it was, I get real electrified, when you have that good interview, because it's always been my favorite part of my job, which is why the podcasting was such a natural fit. But when you talk to someone so fascinating, so eloquent, that has lived not a charmed life. I mean, she put the work in and she's done everything, but this day and her intersection, a chance intersection with Bob Dylan, and how it literally changed the direction of her life for much, much better. It's a fascinating story. She's great, but that one story, which happens early in the podcast, so you're not required to listen to the whole thing. One of the best stories I've ever heard in my entire interviewing career.
Many of these musicians have taken most of them have taken a long and winding road. They always talk about overnight sensation. No, generally that overnight was 20 years, 10 years, 30 years, whatever the case may be. And, I don't do a whole heck of a lot of interviews. I've done a couple of musicians on the air before.
Yeah.
We've done Gary Lewis. We've done Martha Davis from the Motels. And I did John K. of Steppenwolf. And that was the same thing. It was like the K thing, we only played one question and answer on the radio. Because, again, I get it from the coroner's office. Not many of our core listeners know who John K. and Steppenwolf is. They're probably going to be bored, disinterested. So we just played it on a podcast. Instead, we give them a taste of it. And I've told you the story. Peter Fonda had just died. Peter Fonda, the son of Hank Fonda,
right.
And he starred in the counterculture classic Easy Rider.
But one of the most important films of the '60s, in my humble opinion, because it doesn't glorify it. It's a cautionary tale, but also very much of its time.
And Peter Fonda had just passed away, and that movie featured a couple of songs from Steppenwolf, Born to be Wild, Get Your Motor Running.
Most famously.
Thunder, and then, of course, The Pusher, which was actually written by Hoyt Axton. So I asked him, Fonda had just died a month before. I said, did you get to know Fonda? And he goes, oh, yeah, on the movie set. I got to know him really well, blah, 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 blah. And I talked about the song The Pusher. And he says, interesting story about that. He says, I'm with my gal one day at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and we're sitting there having a drink, and I look down at 2 stools down. I see Hoyt Axton, and I look at my gal, and I say, that's Hoyt Axton.
Right.
And he said about 5 minutes later, Hoyt Axton looks down and goes, you're John K. of Steppenwolf, aren't you? And he goes, yeah. He goes, I just want to thank you. He goes, what for? He goes, well, bill's been piling up, not a lot of money coming in, and I just got a check in the mail for $50,000 for The Pusher, so thanks a bunch. Because he wrote the song, he gets the licensing money to it because it went to the movies. Somebody had to write a big, if it's going to be in a movie, you write a big check to have that money movie. So he just wanted to thank John K., because if John hadn't done the song and did it the way they did it, it would not have been included in the movie Easy Rider.
Well, I mean, we I've talked about it many times, but mailbox money, there's nothing like mailbox money. And that's why publishing matters so much. That's why you can't play songs with copyright on them on your regular show, because or on your podcast, on the podcast, because no one's figured out that publishing stuff for the internet just yet. They've tried, and some people have made sort of tentative agreements, but nothing's been figured out. So that's still the most important revenue source in the modern day and age, unless you're a megastar who's making zillions from touring. You mentioned the term overnight sensation, and one of the things I've learned more than anything from especially all the emerging bands and newer artists that I've interviewed over the years at Cities 97 and other places I've worked, is that overnight sensation. There's that ramp up you're talking about. They've been slaving away for 10 years and boom, something clicks. Or they've been at it for a few years really hard, boom, something clicks. And you're like, well, now it's easy street. No, now the real work starts. As hard as you ground before to get to that point and get that one golden opportunity, now much is expected, and you're going to be working harder, touring, writing, recording, supporting, doing interviews, promotion, everything than you've ever worked before in your life, just to keep this thing going and hopefully get number 2, number 3, and if you're super lucky, maybe a career out of it. So I've never met anybody who was an overnight sensation.
That second album is usually the most difficult, because the first one you caught people's attention with it, and all of a sudden
when you had your whole life to work on that one.
Right, exactly. And back in the olden days, it would be 10 songs, maybe 12.
Right.
There'd be the one hit. Then there might be one and the second song they go to is okay, and then after that there was nothing else on the album, and then your second one doesn't go anywhere, and you're just you're a footnote in rock history. And it was another story I was reminded of, Peter Frampton. And he played for Humble Pie, went out on his own, and out of nowhere he comes up with Frampton Comes Alive. It becomes the most popular live album of all time. He becomes an overnight sensation, right? And I've seen him. I've read interviews and listened to interviews of him saying it was really hard for him. He goes, because he went from really being nobody to the most the most successful and most popular rock and roll star on the planet, seemingly overnight.
Everyone knows the image on the cover of that album. Every record collection you've ever dug through, be it your parents, friends, whoever, has a copy of Frampton Comes Alive.
And he said he didn't know what to do. And then the record company says, well, you have to pump out another album right away. And he said, I wasn't ready for another album. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any more songs. They were all done. So he had to hurry up and put it together. And then you know how he always had the shirt unbuttoned and stuff.
Oh,
they
yeah.
wanted him to be a sex symbol, and he was like, "That's not me. That's not what I want to do. I just want to play rock and roll." And he went into a bit of, I don't want to say a depression, but he didn't know where he was going, and he said he didn't really even enjoy it. And then he had some success with his neck, I'm in You and a couple of other things,
Right.
but it was never what he reached before. But
Correct.
It's like. The record company said, no, you have to come up with a new album tomorrow. It's got to be ready to go.
Yep.
And if you don't have the material, you don't have the material.
Yep. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And it's, that's a story that's been told over and over a million times. I love even when a young pop star seems to come out of nowhere, this is somebody who's been toiling away very hard in relative obscurity for a long time. And they make a huge splash, couple of top 10 hits, number 1 hits, who knows? But then that pressure is unrelenting, and it can be difficult unless you're one of those rare unicorns, like say Taylor Swift, to really reproduce that with any sort of consistency or over a considerable length of time.
Another English rock band is going back on tour after years of being away.
Who's that?
Radiohead.
Oh, yes. First time in 7 years. I'm not a hater, but I'm also not an absolute Radiohead head. I love the first 3 albums. Up until OK Computer, I think they're one of the most interesting and frankly important Britpop turning into experimental British music bands. After that, they seem to, speaking of Bob Dylan, they seem to adopt this attitude that no matter what they did, critics and fans alike loved it no matter what it was. And they almost seem to take sort of an adversarial approach to that, like, oh yeah, you like that? Well, watch how weird we get on Hail to the Thief or Pick 'em, Amnesiac. And they kept getting weirder and doing more obscure and less traditional song-oriented things, which is fine. That's absolutely their prerogative. But they just kept getting weirder and more confrontational about their approach to music, and it only made the critics love them more. So I don't share that sort of that critical darling thing that so many people do, but they're a very good band, and if this wasn't just a European tour, I would absolutely go see them.
They, you talk about, critics and then fans, and you'll find this a lot with hardcore fans of any band. They like everything they've ever done, and there's nothing bad in the world. It's
and
like,
they can't fail.
Yeah,
I've got a couple bands like that where I forgive just about everything.
Yeah, but there are in most cases, I think if you're like me, I do take a critical eye and go, I don't know. I mean, it's good. It's all right. But I mean, it's not like, and it's and that goes back to the follow-up a great album. How do you follow? I brought up the example last week after, I think it was his 3rd album, Born to Run by Bruce Springsteen.
Yep.
When you put out something as brilliant as that, how do you follow that up? Even it's really difficult to do. Now, he did in many people's cases, but I also wonder, those hardcore Springsteen fans, do they really... It doesn't have to keep topping the one before, but do they really feel like it's as good as it was before? Do they want to feel that way because they love the guy?
I think if you're a diehard like that, it doesn't really matter if it's as good. Those will always be, like if you were the high school football quarterback or you were the homecoming queen or whatever, those are always going to be landmark moments in your life. But then you have the rest of your life to live. And so I think that's where he established that. And certain people fall in love to the fans. They become such a fan of what's going on there that they are willing to take the journey with that artist. Not every artist engenders that, but I mean, let's bring it a little closer to home. I mean, let's be very honest that you're probably past your best work here on the Commonwealth. Okay.
There's no question about that.
And
I think I peaked 97, 98.
But the people who listen to you, myself included, are never going to go anywhere else. This is where I find myself every single day, as embarrassing as it may be, from noon to 3. Every once in a while, I get to actually come on your show, which is unbelievable to me. And that was kind of a joke, by the way. I think you're doing fine work right now.
Trust me.
Let's just say your appeal has become more selective.
Let's just say that was a little closer to the truth.
Well, no offense intended, because you know I'm a fan. But I think fans are a little more forgiving, the diehards, right? And so, no, it is not Rosalita, Let's Come Out Tonight, but they're willing to listen to the Ghost of Tom Joad. You know, I mean, it's still good, but maybe not legendary.
Tennessee, do we have one of your games?
I don't know if it's called a game.
Well, whatever it is. Well, not game, but
Rock Rant. Oh, yeah. Before we go, I do have to make sure to tell you something about Farm Aid coming up, but we'll do it at the end. Rock Rant. Rock Rant.
Rock Rank.
Oh, I thought it was Rock Rank.
Oh,
I thought it was
not Rock Rink or Rock Rant. It's Rock Rank.
All right.
Brian, you know, Common, you can jump in and with this as well. I know, Oak, last week when we were at the State Fair, you were talking about how much you do not like the grandstand for a concert venue. So I want to ask you to rank your top 5 Minnesota concert venues in order.
Oh, wow. From 1 to 5?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or do you want to start at the bottom? And then
you can start at the bottom.
I got to think about my complete 5.
Well, you think of yours, and
Go ahead.
I don't attend as many concerts as you do. I've always loved the Zoo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and again, you've probably been to every concert venue in the Twin Cities. They're pretty near close.
A couple that I haven't, but yes.
Yeah, but and there's probably only a couple I've been to, but I love the Zoo, and I've always liked the Dakota. I like being up on. My favorite spot is being dead center stage, being on the top, on the balcony, looking down. Now, one thing about the Dakota is if you're a twosome and some of the foursome tables you sit at, you're going to be paired with a couple of people.
I've had that before.
It's like being at a golf course,
right?
Hey, we're going to pair you with those two people.
Awkward discussion,
and it can be awkward.
But at least you have enough in common to have a conversation because you're both there for the artist, right? So at least there's something there.
So I like the Dakota. I don't think I've ever been to another. You know,
I'm certain that you have. You've never seen a big show at the Dome or XL or Target Center?
Yeah, none of those do anything for me.
Target Field, Metrodome.
I just don't like.
Oh, I saw U2 at the Metrodome, and it was awful.
I saw Steel Wheels tour Rolling Stones.
There you go.
There. First Avenue is obviously cool.
Yeah,
it really is.
To me, this is a hard question, Tenna, because it really depends on who it is you're going to see. For legacy, for the bands that have meant the most to me in my life, for the intimacy of it, but also for the proper size of it. And when the room is sold out, there is that critical mass that cannot be met. And I've seen some genuinely legendary shows there. First Avenue's number 1, and it's not close. It's the place I've been to the most. It's the place I've probably seen the shows that have meant the most to me. And I mean, I started going there when I was a teenager and still go there to this day. It's legacy, it's landmark, it's as Minnesota as any venue that you can think of, and likely more so. So that's definitely number 1. But it depends. Like if you're going to go see a massive show, you're going to see an arena show, then next in line is the XL. The sight lines are fantastic. The sound is way better than. I understand that Target Center a few years back did something to address their indoor sound, but most of those big arenas, even US Bank Stadium, don't sound very good. If you're standing by the soundboard where they've dialed all the sound into, then yes, it can be good. Like I saw U2 at US Bank Stadium, and it was great, but I also saw Metallica there, and it sounded like
mud.
What
did you see there?
What, Metallica?
Metallica.
You ever go to Thumpers in Coon Rapids?
No, because I missed that by just a little bit. I was a little too young for Thumpers, but I mean, it was right there by Village 4.
Correct.
I remember driving by the.
Well, I wasn't old enough to get it. I sort of felt like Bob Seger in Main Street. There wasn't strippers; it was just rock and rollers. I couldn't go in because I didn't have an ID, a fake ID. I wasn't old enough. And then finally, when you're able to get into Thumpers, you go in and you go, it's really not that big of a deal.
No.
It's just a dingy bar with a stage and some garage band, but it was still cool to go to Thumpers.
Well, think about it. You're in Coon Rapids, and Coon Rapids back in those days was more rural than it is today.
Yeah.
Today, it couldn't be more suburban and strip molly, but back then, you were kind of out in the sticks a little bit, and Thumpers was a big deal.
It was in that parking lot that we stole a keg out of the back of a trailer.
Wow, did you get busted?
Well, no, we got away with it. Here's what happened: we were going to the head shop. No, Larry's Arcade, where the pinball machines and foosball and all that.
And where you pick up an eighth when you need one.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's a pickup truck there with one of those. You know when the beer tappers that come out of the side of the big trailer, right? That you're have at parties and concerts or whatever the case may be. So we saw one there, and we thought, I wonder if there's any beer in there. So we pulled the taps. It's night now, right? And there's nobody around. We go there and pull it out, and some beer comes out. Goes, there must be beer. So then we checked the back door. He hadn't locked the door, so we went in, and I guess I'm admitting to a crime from about 40 years ago.
I bet the statute of limitations is probably up.
We pulled an 8-gallon keg out of that bad boy, threw it in the back of the car, took off, and we had our kegger the next day.
I was going to say, how long did the keg last?
We decided we'll wait till tomorrow. And so we went.
You stole a keg and waited to drink the beer?
Well, we didn't have a tap.
I know, but that's a level of discipline that is not especially prevalent in young people, who are especially young criminals like yourself.
We were already drunk, so we didn't need any more. We didn't need any more beer.
Just wanted to make sure you were able to stay drunk.
So what are your other places?
Other places in town, the entry is kind of connected to First Avenue, but they're two very different animals. I was thinking
small. I've seen a show
extremely small, but if you see the right band in there, there's nothing like it. I mean, then you're in a sardine can. It would be like seeing your favorite band in Skylab or something. Just this tight little area, but really great. I was thinking, you brought up Radiohead. I saw Radiohead in First Avenue's main room, and now, of course, you'd never see them anywhere smaller than the XL or the biggest stadium they could find in the area.
How about the Caboose?
The Caboose it's a different animal. And see, growing up in Minnesota, I'm not afraid of a dive bar. I'm not afraid of a place that smells a little bit like stale beer. Yeah. I'm not looking for fancy when I go to a rock show. And I've seen some great shows at the Caboose.
I saw Johnny Winter there.
Yeah, I can't put it on my top 5, but it's absolutely a worthwhile place. And again, part of Minnesota history. I like our array of theaters for music in this town, because when you're seeing those artists that aren't quite big enough to sell out the Enormo Dome, but are too big to play at a Dakota or a Fine Line or a First Avenue. So, we've got the Orpheum, and what's the other one right downtown that I'm totally blanking on right now?
What's the one on the University of Minnesota's campus?
Northrop.
Yeah, is that one there?
Northrop, good. I've seen some great shows at Northrop.
I saw Steely Dan there when they did Asia. I saw Loggins and Messina when they got back together about 10, 12, just to do a quick tour. I've seen a number of shows there.
Last one I saw there was Iggy Pop with Queens of the Stone Age as his backing band, and oh man, that was spectacular. Fitzgerald over in St. Paul is also another excellent venue, and of course there are just zillions of these little tiny places around the cities as well. Like
how about Palmer's? They're closing, right?
They are, yes, and
I've never seen a show at Palmer's.
Well, and again, they've got a back patio and they've got an exceptionally tiny stage on the inside. But yeah, after being left in financial ruins longer than that, and even being left in financial ruins by their previous owner, the current owners have tried to make a go of it, but they simply cannot. And it's sad to see that place go away, because that place predates the West Bank music explosion of the 1960s. That place has been around forever, and it's really great.
And did they have their final show yet, or is that coming? They were going to have
I think
anybody that they thought was really important to Palmer's was going to perform there. So there was going to be, I think, I don't know if it was a never-ending show, but they were going to really...
They've done a bunch of big blowouts and stuff, and like Cornbread Harris, who's in his 90s, plays there. He was playing there weekly, and I think he's got one more. But yeah, if it's not over yet, it's going to be over very shortly. Last thing I wanted to plug before I get out of here was that you've heard of Farm Aid, going to be in Minnesota for the first time in whenever. It's going to be available live and free to the public. Well, of course, we can go see it live, but if you have CNN, you can watch it on TV.
Really?
CNN.com, you can watch it on the internet, or if you have one of their mobile apps, you can do that as well. But the entirety of it, and again, it's just an absolute megastar lineup, is going to be available on CNN, and that is coming up on... What's the date? It's before the end of the month. It's coming up on Saturday, September 20th from 7 p.m. to midnight, and you can catch it on CNN because everyone at Farm Aid said CNN's been a great friend of the American farmer and agricultural industry, and CNN wants to return the favor, so it should be a cool way to enjoy that if you don't want to go to the big fat show.
Lastly, you should do a podcast.
I do a podcast.
Oh, you do?
I do, in fact. Just did a great one today with Scarlett Rivera, the Brian Oak Show podcast. If you like music, you like digging deep on music, you like hearing music, you should check it out. You will find it on the free iHeartRadio app, which you should have already had many moons ago, but if not, consider this your invitation to get the app and then check out the Brian Oak Show podcast.
We'll talk to you next week. That's Rock Talk for this week. We'll take a short break, come back. Tend to be a little 5-3-4 at the top of the hour.
NFL No Huddle is back.
Beautiful.